A note on Andy Warhol's diaries with beautiful trees behind, flowers. The diaries have been adapted for BBC Radio, actually Radio 4 if I'm not wrong. And they are really entertaining. Surprisingly so for me because I'm not such a fan of Andy Warhol. I mistakenly consider him the famous author of the portrait of the Campbell soup and then so many Marilyn Monroes and that. But then I'm not. Art is evidently beyond my understanding, especially this kind of art. And he was the most famous for a decade, it's mentioned in the diaries, which are funny. They even include the Trumps. At that time, he was married to a woman from Czechoslovakia, as the diaries say, and he wanted a portrait of the Trump Tower. When Warhol went with work, he didn't like it. Said something like, "It doesn't go with the colors," and the conclusion in there was that they are cheap. I don't think the artist imagined that this individual, this figure, would become the president of the United States. I don't imagine it myself, even now, as I know it's true. And there are so many other figures. He mentions Nixon. He made fun of Nixon, and then IRS is inspecting his books, and throughout we have this insider joke, this fact that he keeps recording his expenses: $4 for taxi, $60 for lunch with Capote. Later on, it's $600. The value of money decreased for a meal with Basquiat. There are all sorts of important figures, from Mick Jagger to Truman Capote. Mick Jagger is mentioned quite a few times. His wife, still his wife at that stage, Bianca, even if Jagger is already involved with someone else and there's some friction, some tensions there. And I had the impression that Andy Warhol was somewhere in the middle sometimes. Bianca is not described as very bright, to say the least. But there's the famous, wonderful Truman Capote. In one scene in the elevator, he is on the cover of Time when he has the copy with him, and he says something like, in his voice, "You elevator people." I can't do that. Of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Toby Jones, both of them magnificent, in two different films about Capote, about his life, and in the lead roles. Philip Seymour Hoffman won on the Academy Award, an Oscar, for his performance, for best actor in the leading role. Toby Jones deserved one for his portrayal. Alas, he didn't get one. So he says, Capote says to these people in the elevator, "Look, this is me on the cover of Time. And watch, I forgot the name of the show, an interview with someone next Monday." He's told that a number of them don't. There's a lizard there. I don't know if you see it. There's a lizard, a nice lizard. I didn't know what was moving, enjoying the sun, and I'm disturbing it. I'm sorry, but we'll finish soon. So he says in Spanish, whatever, "Dos esta next Monday, por favor, see this." Warhol pays for the meals because he thinks Capote is in financial trouble. Until one day he's going to the bank to withdraw $15,000, in $50 bills. And then his lover, they're both gay, Warhol and Capote. His lover mentions the fact that he recently had the same amount of money, again in small bills, and he's like reproaching, well, why do you do this again? Because you know you lost that. Never mind. So Capote is actually into money. And next time Warhol makes him pay for this. Warhol needs the money, and it is suggested to him that he should paint some portraits of art athletes, to which he protests. Sports? Me? Well, they pay a lot of money. So he gets to meet with Cassius Clay. Andy Warhol says Cassius Clay is a nice, funny character, and he's surprised after the meeting to find how much the former Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali now, knew about African American artists. And towards the end of this dramatization, we also get to learn a little more about Basquiat, who is discovered by Andy Warhol, and it's known now that that he, for a long time, he lived with the portrait of Warhol on the wall above his bed, Basquiat. And there is an interesting relationship, not without frictions, because I had the feeling that from one moment on, Andy Warhol did not resent the success of his protege, the man he discovered. But still, there was maybe a feeling that he's moving into history, so to say. He will be neglected, forgotten, and Basquiat is the man of the day. Even if it's true, Warhol himself was so famous, the most famous artist, creator for about a decade. Interesting, good dramatization.